All right, first question is, what do you do to sustain yourself?
One thing is, if I have dead trees on the place, then I will cut them up into firewood. And because I'm getting older and a back problem, I don't split much. And so I'll take the ones that I can put in my stove and stack them up in the dry and use them to burn for heat. What that does is several different things. It clears up the place where I drive through on the tractor, keeps my pasture clean. The other thing is, don't have to worry about it falling on me, kids or grandkids, or my cattle. Another thing is, then it's helping conserve oil, because if I'm using electricity, then it has to use oil or gas or coal to
Yeah.
produce electricity. So that's saving producing electricity and air pollution. So there is some smoke from that, but not much, because I let it dry for a year before I burn it. And so that's one way that I sustain. And then another way is that I can give the big stuff that has to be split to somebody else. That might help somebody else in the community, and helps in sustainability to others in the community then. And so that's what I do. I give the bigger stuff that needs to be split to somebody else. And that's what I've done just a few weeks ago.
So, exactly how does that?
What this does, I've got a back problem, getting older, but there's a lot of limbs fall off, and then I had the timber cut because pine beetles got in. So a lot of limbs be picked up. These are excellent tools for doing that, picking up limbs, taking them to the burn pile. And the only thing is, it's hard to find anything that's well made today. These are designed for lightweight, so they tend to break. They just got a plastic piece in here, and they're not designed to be repaired. But I thought, well, they're about $14 a piece, plus tax, so if I can repair both of them, it's saved me about 30 bucks. So what I done, I took a chisel and cut them apart where they's glued, and I found out the piece that was broke, and I drilled a hole, put a bolt through there. I already had the bolts and everything, and so now then they work just perfect and saved me a good bit of money. Now, it didn't just save me money, it saved this aluminum. It takes electricity, a lot of electricity, to make aluminum. So nobody had to make more aluminum, more steel, and more plastic. It takes a lot of oil to make plastic. So that saved a lot of energy by doing this. Not only saved me money, but it saved a lot of stuff going into the landfill. And it only took me about 45 minutes to repair them. So if I saved 30 bucks plus tax for 45 minutes work, it wasn't too bad. And if the rubber cups come off, like I say, they're not made for real heavy duty stuff like I use them for, then I merely make a piece and put on the end of it. Works just as well, even better sometimes. So, so this is one way to use sustainability. Redo as much as you can. Anything that you might throw away, think twice. Repair it if you can, and therefore it might save you money. Plus, it's saving the landfill being filled up, and it's saving oil and gas to make new. But over there in the field, you'll see where I fed hay this past winter. Of course, I have to feed hay in the wintertime to keep the cows going, and so I'll try to put it on bare spots. The reason I do that, there's always some left behind. I put it in a hay ring to save as much hay as I can, but there's always some left behind. And then the seed will fall out. And so what that does, the hay holds moisture and keeps the ground moist away, plus the seeds will fall out and it'll begin to sprout. And then the cows leave behind the fertilizer. So that helps in three ways. It controls erosion as a primary objective. The other thing is you've got grass there for later, and as we know, then that's good for the environment. I like trees. Trees are good for the environment. Some people cut all of them. I like to have a few trees around. It's good for the cows to rub against when they're itching, and it's also great for shade. As you know, it's good to have shade, maybe 10 to 15 degrees cooler in the summertime. That oak tree there is on the southwest corner of the house. It's called a deciduous tree because the leaves fall off in the winter, and then they come back in the spring. And in the wintertime, the leaves fall off, and like I say, the sun shines and warms up the house. But in the summertime, you have leaves on it that makes shade. So it's going to be maybe 10 to 15 degrees cooler there. That helps cool the house because the hottest part of the day is in the afternoon, and that's when that southwestern sun is shining in here making it hot. So that will help there. So that's another way to look at sustainability, is to plant trees where they'll shade you, but plant deciduous trees where they'll let the sun come through in the winter and yet leaves will shade you in the summer.
Could you explain a little bit more about how your fireplace stove, wood stove?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because the wood stove, I do have central heat now. And so if I have to be gone, well, the house plumbing's not going to freeze up. I have my pipes underground going into the house, and so they're not going to freeze up. We've got a cover on them out there, and so it's not going to freeze up out there because it's well insulated. So I don't have freezing at all on that, even in the coldest weather. The heat is a great thing because it can keep it warmer. It's a drier heat. I keep a tea kettle on so that put moisture back into the air, keep on top of it. However, during the snowstorm in '93, when there was no electricity for something like, I think, 9 days minimum here, then I've got the type stove that you can raise the top up and you can cook on it. And so that way I was able to cook on the stove. And by having a well, then I can have water, but I have to have a generator that's capable of producing enough power. Mine's a little bit small for that, but I do have it plugged to where I could run an extension cord and plug in and even run my well pump in an emergency. So I don't have to depend on if worst comes to worst, I can get by. I have oil lamps in there, and I can use those for light. If the power were to go off again for some reason for days and days, then I can cook on the wood stove because I've got the firewood, I've got the wood stove, I've got the chimney. I can have water from the well, as long as I've got the generator to pull the pump, electric pump. I can use the oil lamps for light.
What do you do to help sustain your community?
I think as far as sustainability for everybody, I think if we were being more careful about what we put in the landfill, that if we found ways to reuse what we have as much as we could. For example, a lot of times you'll see a trash can full of aluminum cans. And there's a lot of people that will take those aluminum cans and sell them. I know one family that I give the aluminum cans to, which helps in the community. And then I understand what they do is that they sell them when they get so much, and then they use that to buy their prescriptions with. So that helps them get their medicine. Doesn't cost me anything, just put them in a trash can and save them for them. And instead of going, the easiest thing in the world to do is go to the dump.
Yeah.
One other thing about sustaining the community is when I decide to remodel a home, the easiest thing in the world to do would be go up there to the dump and get rid of everything. But instead, I found people that would like to have the furniture I had, and so I gave it to them. There's a lady up here near Benton Station that she helps people if there's fires or if they just need things. And so you can take dishes, silverware, things like that by to her, and she'll see that people get them when they need them. So a lot of things that I thought that I might not need, instead of taking to the dump that somebody else could use, then I take them up there and let her distribute them as she needs to. So anything like that can be reused. There's usually a place for it.
Yeah.